Welcome to episode 111.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Been on here for a while.
It's like ages.
We had Dom back in episode 109, talking about all things collagen. It's quite nice to not be on the podcast, because then I get to look forward to listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
So when you're on it, you listen to it for a bit of feedback and try to improve your own podcasting skills and how you sound and how you come across. But when I get to listen to you chat to someone else or listen to someone else's podcast, it's nice to go, I know those people, I'm going to be intrigued to hear their story a little deeper. Right. So it was good hearing Dom, and then Pat in 110 as well was
great.
Quite a good story.
Yeah, really great info from Dom, and great story and info from Pat. I really enjoyed that. And a lot of feedback, a lot of hurtful feedback about what a great voice for radio he's got, and no one's ever said that to me.
Pat does have a great voice.
He's got
smooth and
deep, thoughtful voice. The voice of a good thinker and listener. Yeah,
he's doing some good things over there at TWS, Pat.
Yeah, he really is great. So today we thought we would talk about the impact of. It's a topical thing. We've had a little bit of a micro heat wave and caught people by surprise, as it always does.
First sort of 3 strung together hot days of summer for Melbourne.
And so people getting a little bit less sleep, a little bit tired, and just a little worn out from the heat because you're not adapted. Everyone, the first time it's hot, everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'm going to die! It's so hot!" Like they're just not adapted to it.
And we then had that followed by a cool change. So on Tuesday night it sort of stormed, and one of those
stormed.
My favourite kind of weather is those summer storms where you can feel the electricity and the humidity in the air,
that's great.
but then just goes from 30 to 22 in about 15 minutes and it just hits you. I love the weather, but our bodies don't, and our hormonal systems really don't either.
That particularly, I mean, the change back to cool, I think is okay. I think you just go cool. I can get some sleep now. But it just makes you tired. People don't sleep as much, and what we noticed was a really interesting thing with our vertical leap. Yeah,
so we've started the third combine this week, and we're doing vertical leap this week. And what I predicted over the combines was March would be good, everyone would be fresh heading into season, and then they would dip down over August, and August would sort of be, we expected the training to outweigh the fatigue, and they'd break even, if not have some slight improvements. But then I expected November to be a big jump. Everyone would freshen up, particularly the footballers, basketball and soccer players, not playing as much, they get a big upshoot, and we're not seeing that because of this heat.
Well, let's take a back step, because your expectations were, in the first round, incorrect in the sense that people actually did really well. We had some big improvements.
Compared to when they had first started with us.
Yeah, take us through the ballpark improvements we had. Because everyone improved, just about. Like, it was really
pretty much across the board improvements on vertical leap, because we've been testing people's vertical leap on an individual basis and during their assessments and screenings and stuff like that, but never on the scale of doing the entire gym in 1 month. Yeah. And so when we did that, we saw like 5 to 6 centimetre average improvements in about 6 to 12 months of training.
And some of those on people with already good training bases. Like, you expect to see rookie gains, but there were some people there who
already squatting 1.5 times body weight, still adding another 3 to 4 centimetres, 5 centimetres on their vertical.
On top of good verticals. Yeah.
Like, we're talking about 60, 70 centimetre vertical leap people. Yeah.
And when we talk vertical, it is important to bear in mind that our figures are lower than the American figures very often, because the Americans allow a whole bunch of cheating to make the numbers look better. Yeah, sorry, Americans, but you do. It's a fact, like, they allow them to change their reach a little bit, and they have to. We are really strict on actually capturing
accurate
true
reach
vertical,
and then an accurate standing camera movement. So there's no step, there's no little gather, no shuffling. It's a pure vertical leap.
And also, our people aren't as canny about knowing the cheats as the American kids are,
because we haven't taught them.
Yeah, we're not talking. No one comment on them, but there are some cheats. I could go in very easily and set myself up for a 6 centimetre vertical leap improvement. Right now, I could do it today. I could do it again in a week, and I could improve by 6 centimetres knowing the tricks. Yeah. And they're not tricks to make you jump higher. They're tricks.
Yeah, they're not fun tricks like our vertical leap series.
We're not getting into
They're not those kind of.
You can have them. They're great. Use them.
No, these are pure testing cheats, hacks, if you will.
I don't like hacks, because hacks sounds like a good way to get better. No. Cheats.
Yeah, pure
dirty cheats.
Because the thing is, they don't. If you're a basketball, they don't improve your dunking. If you're a football, they're going to help you marking. Yeah, they're not going to help you athletically. They just change the numbers. That's all they do.
So anyway, so our numbers are lower, but they're real.
They're and this allows us to be more consistent with testing too. So when an improvement happens, we can be pretty sure that is a physiological improvement in strength, power, technique, whatever it might be.
We didn't get hustled.
Exactly. So March we had some pretty good results, really good results. Let's not sugarcoat. They're awesome results for all athletes across the board. In August we had pretty consistent improvements. That was a 4-month period. We had an average improvement of 2.5 centimeters. That's across the entire population.
Yeah, and almost no one, because you expect out of the large cohort that you get a couple of people will go backwards just for some.
We had a couple. We had a couple that were tired during, like, they only got to test
low
once.
Percentage.
We're talking 10 athletes. They only got to, so we do the tech combine over a month, so you can do each test twice and have a proper crack and get account for fatigue and things like that. And in that second combine, a few of the athletes, I sort the data out and I have a look for the outliers to see if anyone cheated and if anyone we overshot and then if anyone we undershot. And a few of the people that went backwards were, they only tested once. They were super tired. They only wanted to just give it a crack. And they probably shouldn't actually, they weren't in testing condition. Anyway, whether it be finals or fatigue or just coming back from an injury, things like that. But for everyone else, average improvement of 2.5 to 3 centimeters. Pretty happy with that, so that's great.
And this time, thus far, you're seeing...
We're only a week in, but we're seeing a lot of people hit the same. So, how'd you go on your vertical leap as they come into the lanes to start their lifting? It's exactly the same as last week. It's a centimetre down, it's a centimetre up. No big improvements thus far.
I think you're spot on that people's fatigue levels really does impact it. Because what happens when you're fatigued is you become unco. Your nervous system becomes less adept at controlling your movements. You're less able, and it's a very complex skill, jumping, and all those rapid fine motor control and all those power things are very, very much dictated by your nervous system status.
Yeah, speed and power fluctuate a lot more with fatigue than does strength.
So you
could come in the gym and you could lift 120 kilos every day of the week. 1.5 times whatever. You could hit that weight comfortably every day of the week, whether you're tired or not. You can kind of grind your way through it. But when it comes to expression of explosive power and speed, that's where you really notice when your nervous system's not up to the job.
Yeah, you can really grind your way through submaximal strength stuff. Anything that's above doing a triple, you can just grind your way through. If you really want it, you'll get those reps.
And even triples, like you see with the VBT stuff we're doing, people still lift the same weight, and so the output is 130 kilos for 3 reps, but the speed and the quality and the snap they get on that weight is significantly lower.
So we've seen the vertical down, and that just comes down to you didn't sleep as well. You're a bit tired. You're worn out from the heat of the day as well.
And so we haven't run a Saturday morning testing it, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes tomorrow.
Hopefully for the sake of science, we get a really cold week.
And we can balance out those.
And those same people can get to retest.
What would be really nice is to then actually do an intra-combine analysis and look at the first week's testing results versus the second week's and see if there's just an average shift up. Because I imagine if we can get some cool weather, because our athletes at Training House at the moment, we're having a really good block with our team sport athletes. It'd be nice to see them be rewarded with numbers on the Vertec.
I wonder, it'd be interesting to separate out, there's definitely the weather components, no two ways about it. But also, there's this thing that happens that I notice with my kids. There's just a cumulative year fatigue. They're just tired by the end of the year.
November just gets you down.
And it's not like, I think it gets you down. I don't. That sounds like they're getting sad. I mean, it's just like they're just worn out. Like they're just a little tired. And I wonder if that's an impact that is a high school thing as well. Like if you had a high cognitive load.
Well, a lot of our year 10, 11, 12s are all just finishing exams. So there's not only the heat of the acute fatigue of having a couple of crappy nights sleep, but there's also, and the heat of the day, but there's also the more chronic of the last 2 months of exam prep and then extra sitting and the neural load that is getting through exams.
I feel like we've been better than ever. So one of the things that happens with exams is everyone gets what we call study back. Like they get really a real spike in sore backs around the time people are sitting for long periods of time.
It happens at the start of the term as they go back from no sitting to all the sitting.
Yeah, they've lost their acute to chronic workload ratio for.
And then it happens the second time is around exams when they double down.
My feeling is that it's been lower than normal this year.
I've barely noticed any, to be honest. I don't want to say 0 because I'm sure there's one I've forgotten. But overall,
much less of because it used to feel like a bit of an epidemic.
You get to June and you get to November and it's like, half our population's going.
We had to deload half our people because of that. I think it's probably we're doing... So my guess is we're doing a better job than ever of the deep activation series.
The core work that we do,
We should make a video about, because we've made a video about multifidus by itself.
We've got a how-to video which I'll link to everyone.
Have we got an all-in-one, just a deep system one?
Yeah, how to do pelvic floor, multifidus, and then TVA all together.
All-in-one. Yeah. Have we got a back plank one?
No, we haven't got one about the back plank. Do you want to explain?
Yeah,
so listening what the back plank is.
So the back plank is a great idea from our friend Simon Anning, who's a physio and has also done his masters in strength and conditioning, and just a great operator. And Simon worked under Steve Saunders at Melbourne Football Club. Steve is the inventor, founder of the Kangatech thing, and is a very, very good high performance manager and physio. And the idea is that certain tissues in your body just need a decent dose of time under tension. So the amount of seconds, so you're measuring the stress, because the muscles are responding to how much stress there is in terms of how much force and how much duration.
So yeah, the volume of it, the duration, the direction, so whether it's going concentrically, eccentrically or isometrically, and then the amplitude, so how intense is it.
Yeah. And the thing that Simon pointed out to us was that we were getting almost no time under tension for our lumbar spinal muscles.
Not just us, but S&C
in general. Yeah.
Because when you break it out and you look at exercises, the lower back has to work as an accomplice, as an accessory, is probably a better word, as an accessory.
Sounds like it's committing a crime.
No, it's definitely helping. It's a supportive and friendly endeavour. As an accessory to, say, your glutes or your hamstrings or your quads during things like squats, RDLs, core lifts. But it's only really working just for like fractions of a second in the bottom of a range of motion.
Just pulsing on and pulsing off. It's not getting much actual minutes of tension.
Whereas if you're doing, say, for example, a core lift or a trap bar deadlift, your upper back, your thoracics and your rhomboids are working the whole time to stabilise and pull your shoulders into a good position. And
when we go to train the core, like we'll do a plank for 45 seconds because it's like we know we need to get a dose
into your abs,
but we're not getting the same. So we started doing the back plank, which is where you're lying on one of our cushions, just extending. Some people would call it a Superman.
Yep. We do it off the cushion so that when you extend, you actually extend to about neutral as opposed to hyperextending.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the cleverest little hacks, because that is an actual.
That's a hack. That's definitely a hack. Yep.
Yeah. Like we're committing 30 seconds.
I think we do just one set, 30 seconds.
Yeah, like it's nothing in terms of the time cost. But everyone's just getting this tiny little dose of work through there. I now do it in my own training. 42 seconds on, 30 seconds off.
Why 42?
It's the Hitchhiker's Guide, Meaning of the Universe.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I was at 40 and I was like, 45 is a bit much, I'll just go to 42. And I can't just...
Baby steps, fair enough.
And yeah, your back feels great for it. I think if you're doing the deep system stuff, a bit of anterior and a bit of posterior time under tension training, it's some good insurance for your back.
I'd add in some bridges too. Some glute bridges for the reciprocal inhibition of your hip flexors. And to get the butt working a bit more from the seat.
Which I do.
Yeah, of course.
So I go roll, stretch, hip flexors, stretch, and then deep system, dead bugs, glute bridge, plank. And I feel like I've ticked all those boxes.
Everything's just turned on in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's nice.
But I think it's been interesting to see that our people are doing pretty well with that. Hopefully that trend stays. Yeah.
So let's get back on track.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's get that's an interesting aside, but back to the topic of acute fatigue, chronic fatigue, and its effect on power and speed. How can we fix it? What should athletes be doing to either be aware of and cognizant of changes in their flexion and in their performance, and how can they reduce those so they can be performing more consistently all year round?
Number one, I think, is being situationally aware. So noticing that, I've had a shocking night's sleep the last 2 nights, I might dial back a couple of things, or I might be less likely to go for a PB if I'm really, really tired.
You often hear stories about people doing big injuries on the back of hot days, being dehydrated or poor nights, like 3 nights of poor nights sleeping in a row, and then went out and played and popped their hammy or...
Well, like Michelle Andrews, who was on our podcast, and got off the plane, broke all her own rules, and played and did her ACL. Yeah, so I think, number one, recognise the situation, and where you can, you don't want to be like a total sook about it, but where you can reduce your exposure to risk just a little bit. So you might not play that extra game or something like that.
When we talk about being aware of the context, I think being off the plane is a massive one. People so often underestimate the effect of changing time zones and the effect of being on a plane for multiple hours at a time and how it affects your entire system.
Well, and this is a good time to be talking about that with a lot of our kids heading off to America to play tours. And so they will be on a plane for a long time, and then they'll be on buses for a long time, and then they'll play approximately 1 million games of basketball in 10 days.
Plus and minus 10, yeah.
Because their schedules, you know, because
15 games in 8 days.
The tour organisers, they want to give value, and the kids want to get a lot of games in, but it can end up being pretty intense schedule. So I think the biggest thing is maximise your rest with good sleep hygiene. We've talked about that before. You know, phones off early, avoid.
We'll just link blue light. I think there's 2 sleep videos. We'll link to those podcasts.
And what?
Hydration is important.
Hydration is a big deal. Yeah.
I'd say.
Make sure you're getting some good electrolyte type drinks as well as your water if you can.
Yep.
We're going to start stocking some electrolyte
shots,
stuff. Yeah. The problem with most of the electrolytes is that they've got a whole bunch of sugar in them, and the shots don't. So I reckon they're awesome. I think the other thing is taking a little more time with your preparation. Like if you are a little tired and unco, an extra couple of minutes on your proprioception, you know, just and not even necessarily an extra couple of minutes, an extra mental emphasis on actually doing them really locking in. Like I think if you lock in 20% harder on what you're doing, that could be enough. You don't have to spend more time, but just concentrate a little more.
Yeah. So if you're a footballer and you've got a big game and you didn't sleep the night before, or it's crazy hot or whatever, you got to try it, and you go, okay, that's step one is being aware. Okay, I'm tired today, but I have to play to try it. It's whatever. It's a big deal. What am I going to do to mitigate the risk or maximise the performance? Because they go hand in hand. So you might spend extra work on some balance stuff, maybe some single leg RDLs or an arabesque type movement to warm up and activate your hamstrings. You might just take a little more time with your hand-eye stuff as well, like some extra handballs, some extra coordination type drills, and also things from an injury point of view as well, like practice a few extra tackles and give them extra focus so that you're not going to go into that tackle clumsy, you're not going to hurt someone else, you're not going to hurt yourself. And turn an important opportunity into a catastrophe.
And I think it's not that hard to give that a little bit more. And if you're a coach, if you're a sport, because we do have quite a few sports coaches that listen in, you know, just scheduling an extra couple of minutes of drills just to sharpen them up a little bit, and then if you're able to, keeping an eye out for athletes being in the red zone, because if you've got a team of 20 athletes and they've all just been through a 2-day heat wave, you'd actually be smarter to dial back their intense work by 10-20% and just get a little more skills into them on that day, and you know, push hard another day. Like pick your days.
Be flexible with how you program and how you plan your trainings.
So I think those are the main things here.
Yeah, it's just an interesting phenomenon that I noticed this week with that power being down and that power then being related to coordination losses. And also I've noticed this week some of the athletes have been athletes are hardworking. Like they're great. Like coach, what can I do to be better? They just want to go. Yeah. But there's been a fair few more kids this week, and not just kids, but adult athletes we have as well, that have been like, can I just do less? Can I skip this? Trying to negotiate and buy their way out of work.
Yeah, which is
a big red flag in this year, because normally everyone's all about doing as much as they can. So.
Yeah. But also maybe we are training, but I think we're over time people are starting to become better collectively at managing themselves and understanding that it's not about smashing it every week. It's about that
listening to your
body and that opportunistic periodization, actually, you know, structuring your training around how you are a little bit.
Yeah. That wasn't to say that we just ignore them and tell them to do it.
We just tell them to shut up and lift. Yeah.
No, we do negotiate on programs, and we do a great job of reading the athlete and having good conversations. Brett Bartholomew would call that conscious coaching, the idea of not just going, these are your numbers, go do it, but actually, okay, why are you feeling this? Big week at school, exams are just finished. Okay, let's adjust. Let's be flexible and fluid in how we program based on how you're presenting on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I want autonomous athletes. I want athletes that if they were to move into state and are training by themselves, they could still replicate a fair bit of what they're training here because they actually know not just the practices but the principles. They know how to do their stuff.
And they can be smart about how they train.
Yeah, which takes a long time.
Yeah, it takes a while to develop.
I'm just getting there. Cool. But
show notes, I'll link to the sleep videos.
Yep.
The sleep podcast, right? The podcast audio and video these days. What else?
The back plank stuff. It was a tangent, but it was.
We don't have a back plank.
No, the deep
core
system,
work.
And we will get a back plank thing going sometime.
Maybe, yeah, sometime soon. I think we've got a photo. Maybe I might put the photo in the article that's hosting this podcast.
Yeah.
But definitely the deep core work, the sleep videos. I think that's about it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.